Hey there, you. Ready to jump into some AI stuff?
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. We've got some wild research and projects to unpack today, all about, tech that's already like out there in the world.
Well,
Doing its thing, We're talking AI that can like understand data in totally new ways,
It's really incredible.
leading to some crazy possibilities.
It is. What I think is super exciting is that we're kind of moving beyond this idea that like bigger AI models are always better.
Right.
These projects are kind of showing a shift towards efficiency
Yeah.
and specialized applications,
Right.
which could like totally revolutionize how we interact with information.
Totally.
It's a big deal.
Okay, let's jump in. One of the first things that caught my eye was Meta's Byte Latent Transformer, or BLT for short.
DLT, yeah.
It's challenging this fundamental concept in AI, tokenization. Now, you might already know, tokenization is how AI, like traditionally, breaks down language into chunks to understand it.
Right, yep.
But BLT is taking a totally different approach.
It is, yes. So instead of those fixed-length tokens, BLT dynamically groups bytes into these like variable-length patches based on their predicted complexity.
Wow.
It's like the model is saying, hey, this section is like super straightforward. I can handle it in a bigger chunk.
Okay.
But this part over here is like more nuanced. I need to break it down into smaller bits to really get it.
So it's more like adaptive.
Yes.
And efficient for the AI to process information.
Yes, exactly.
Like how we humans might skim an article.
Totally.
But then, slow down and like carefully read a paper or something.
Yes. And this has huge implications for how AI can interact with different types of data. One of the examples that like really stood out to me was this idea of AI being able to like talk to a PDF directly.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. It's like, forget having to like extract the text or data manually. The AI can just like understand the file itself.
Exactly. It's wild.
What kind of impact could that have like in the real world?
I mean, imagine a world where researchers can just instantly query massive databases of scientific papers that are all in PDF format, or where students could have like an AI tutor that's interacting directly with their textbooks. The possibilities for accessibility and knowledge sharing are huge.
That's wild. It seems like BLT is really pushing the boundaries of what AI can do.
It is.
And how we can like interact with information.
Definitely.
But before we get like too lost in this byte-level world, there's another project I want to talk about.
Okay, yeah.
Microsoft's Phi-4.
Phi-4, yep.
It's making waves for being a smaller language model that's actually outperforming some of the like big giants out there.
Yeah. Phi-4 is a really fascinating case study. It really challenges this assumption that bigger is always better when it comes to these AI models. Despite its smaller size, it's really excelling in complex reasoning tasks, even surpassing the performance of models like GPT-4 in some benchmarks.
So what's the secret? If it's not about size, like what makes Phi-4 so powerful?
It seems that data quality and training methods play a huge role.
Okay.
Phi-4 was trained on this like carefully curated data set of text and code. And the researchers were really focused on optimizing its reasoning capabilities.
Interesting.
It really suggests that a more targeted and thoughtful approach to training can lead to like really significant improvements in performance, even with a smaller model.
That's really interesting. It's like saying instead of just throwing more data at the problem, it's about like being strategic and giving the AI the right kind of info to learn from.
Exactly. And the shift towards like efficiency and specialization, it's a trend we're seeing across the AI landscape. Like, for example, Cohere has released Command R7B, their smallest and fastest model yet, and it's specifically designed for tasks like math, code, and reasoning.
So it sounds like AI development is becoming more like a toolbox with like different models that are specialized for different jobs. Rather than trying to create this one super AI that can do everything.
That's a great analogy. And this specialized approach, it seems to be like paying off. In terms of both performance and efficiency. We're even seeing it extend to these multimodal models as well, like DeepSeek VL2, which is really making waves with its like impressive performance in tasks that combine vision and language understanding.
Multimodal models, that's where things get really interesting. But before we dive into that, can you explain what makes DeepSeek VL2 so special?
Yeah.
I've heard it uses something called a mixture of experts architecture, and I'm like, Not totally sure what that means.
Think of it like a team of specialists all working together.
Okay.
Each expert within the model is trained on a specific aspect of the task, whether it's analyzing images, understanding text, or recognizing patterns, and then they kind of collaborate, sharing their knowledge and insights to solve the problem more effectively.
So it's like having a language expert, a vision expert.
Exactly.
And maybe even a pattern recognition expert all working together to kind of understand the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Got it. Got it.
And this approach, it's leading to some really remarkable results. DeepSeek VL2 is climbing the ranks on the web dev arena leaderboard, outperforming even some of the bigger names in AI like GPT-4 and Sonnet 3.5.
Wow, that's impressive. So we've got BLT dishing tokens for a more efficient approach.
Yep.
5.4 proving that size isn't everything.
Right.
Command R7B specializing in specific tasks, and DeepSeek VL2 rocking the multimodal world.
Yes.
With its team of experts.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a common thread here.
Absolutely. We're really seeing a paradigm shift in AI development, moving away from that bigger is better mentality.
Right.
Towards this focus on efficiency, specialization, and robustness.
Yeah.
And this is going to have really profound implications for how AI will impact our lives.
Yeah.
In the coming years.
Yeah. That's a perfect segue to the next part of our deep dive.
Right.
We've seen how these new approaches are pushing the boundaries of what AI can do. But what does it actually mean for us, in the real world? How are these advancements actually being used?
Right.
And what are the potential benefits and challenges?
That's a great question, and it leads us to some really exciting developments in the world of AI-powered tools and platforms.
Awesome.
But before we get into that, let's take a quick pause.
Okay.
Let all this sink in for a minute.
All right.
We'll be back in a moment to explore how these groundbreaking AI advancements are becoming more accessible and impactful than ever before.
Awesome. Can't wait.
So before the break, we were talking about this shift towards more specialized and efficient AI models.
Right.
Now, let's look at how this is playing out in the development of these tools that are already changing how we work and learn.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, one of the most exciting areas is the emergence of these AI-powered coding tools. I'm hearing so much about platforms like Codeum and Windsurf that are being hailed as game changers for developers.
Yeah, for sure.
But are they really living up to the hype?
It's definitely more than just hype.
Okay.
These tools are actually having a real impact on developer productivity and the quality of the code that's being produced.
Oh, wow.
Take Codium, for instance. It can process over 100 million tokens per minute.
What?
To put that in perspective, imagine writing an entire complex program in the time it takes to make a cup of coffee.
Whoa.
That's the kind of speed and efficiency we're talking about.
That's mind-boggling. So these tools are going beyond just simple code suggestions.
They are, yeah.
They're practically writing entire programs alongside developers.
That's a great way to put it. Windsurf, for example, is being called the Enterprise AI IDE, which means it's not just this simple coding assistant.
Right.
It's this comprehensive platform with all these features that can handle everything from project management to debugging and testing. We're even seeing the emergence of what are called cascades.
Cascades?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which are essentially AI agents that can autonomously execute specific coding tasks.
Wow.
Refactoring code to make it more efficient, or finding and fixing bugs.
Hold on. AI that can debug code on its own.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That sounds both amazing and a little unnerving.
I know.
How can we be sure that these AI agents aren't going to, introduce new errors or create security vulnerabilities?
That's a totally valid concern, and it really highlights the importance of rigorous testing and validation in the development of these tools.
Right.
It's still early days, but the potential benefits are just enormous.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where developers can just offload all these tedious and repetitive coding tasks to AI, freeing them up to focus on
higher level creative problem solving and design.
Totally.
That's the promise these tools hold.
I can see the appeal, for sure. But let's shift gears a bit
wow.
and talk about another important trend that we're seeing.
Yeah?
Quantized models. From what I understand, this is a technique for making AI models smaller and more efficient.
Exactly.
Which seems crucial as these models get increasingly complex and demanding.
You're exactly right. Quantization is becoming a key factor in making AI more accessible, especially for people who don't have access to like really powerful hardware. It basically works by reducing the precision of the model's parameters, like essentially compressing the model without losing too much information.
Got it. Okay.
Think of it like reducing the file size of an image so it takes up less space, but still looks pretty much the same.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
But isn't there a trade-off?
Yeah.
If you're compressing the model, doesn't that mean sacrificing some,
Yeah, there can be a slight trade-off.
Accuracy or performance? But the latest techniques are like minimizing that impact. For instance, a company called Unsloth has developed this really clever dynamic 4-bit quantization technique. Instead of quantizing all the parameters equally, it selectively avoids quantizing certain parameters that are more sensitive to changes in precision.
Right.
This helps maintain accuracy while still achieving significant reductions in model size and computational costs.
So they're basically prioritizing
exactly
which parts of the model need to be kept at that higher precision to ensure the best possible performance.
It is.
That's really smart.
And it really highlights the ingenuity and creativity that's going into making AI more accessible and efficient.
Yeah.
Quantization has huge implications, not just for individuals, but also for deploying AI models on edge devices like smartphones and IoT sensors.
Right.
This means we could have AI-powered applications running directly on our devices without needing to rely on cloud computing.
That opens up so many possibilities.
It does.
You could have AI assistants that are personalized to our, needs and preferences, or smart homes that anticipate our actions and adjust to our routines, all without sending our data to the cloud.
Exactly. And this kind of leads to another crucial consideration, data privacy and security.
Right.
As AI becomes more integrated into our lives, we need to ensure that these models are developed and deployed responsibly with, appropriate safeguards in place to protect our personal information.
Totally. Seems like every step forward in AI brings a new set of challenges.
He does.
And ethical considerations that we need to think about.
Yeah.
But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, let's recap what we've learned so far.
Okay. So we've seen how the focus in AI development is shifting towards efficiency and specialization, which is leading to more powerful and accessible tools, from these AI-powered coding assistants to these quantized models that can run on our smartphones. The landscape is changing so rapidly, and it's all happening in the context of this broader conversation about the ethical implications of increasingly powerful AI.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But before we move on to explore some specific platforms and tools that are making AI more accessible to, everyone.
Yeah.
Let's pause for a moment and reflect on what we've discussed.
Okay.
What are your initial thoughts and reactions to all of this? Are you excited about the potential of these advancements, or are there certain aspects that, concern you?
Let's take a moment to consider these questions before we dive into the next exciting chapter of our AI journey.
Okay, so we've talked about this big shift in AI towards these specialized models.
Yes.
And how it's led to these awesome tools.
Yeah.
Especially for coding.
Certainly.
But all this amazing tech, it's only as good as its accessibility.
Right. That's a really important point.
What's the point of all this innovation if it's locked away in some lab?
Exactly.
And only a few people can use it.
Yeah, and that is something that's being addressed. We're seeing this surge in platforms that are designed to democratize AI, making these powerful tools available to, anyone, no matter their technical expertise.
That's awesome. What are some examples of these platforms?
Well, one that's been making a lot of noise is Google AI Studio.
Oh, yeah.
It offers free access to some of Google's most advanced models, like Gemini 2.0.
Okay.
And get this, it even has features like real-time video and screen sharing so you can collaborate with others on AI projects.
Free access to these cutting-edge models, that's huge.
It is huge.
Especially for students and researchers.
Exactly.
Who don't have the money to access these technologies.
Absolutely. It levels the playing field, lets anyone with an internet connection experiment with and learn about AI.
Yeah.
And it's not just Google doing this. Another platform that's really interesting is Notebook LM.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that one. It's all about interacting with AI through a notebook interface, right?
Exactly. Except think of it as having like an AI research assistant.
Oh, cool.
Built right into your digital notebook. You can like have conversations with AI hosts, ask them to generate different creative text formats.
Yeah.
Even get audio overviews of your notes. They even have Notebook LM Plus, which is a premium version for businesses.
So it's great for like individual users, but also has applications for teams and businesses.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love that. What about tools for like testing out different models? I saw something about Silly Tavern being used for that.
Silly Tavern is a really cool platform. It lets you experiment with like a whole bunch of large language models in this more like playful and interactive way.
Okay.
You can tweak the parameters, try different personalities, really get a feel for the nuances of each model.
So it's a great way to learn about AI through like hands-on experimentation. But with all this access to powerful AI tools, are there any like concerns?
Yeah, of course.
About, potential misuse or like unintended consequences?
Yeah. There are always risks associated with powerful technology. It's like giving someone this powerful tool. It can be used to, build amazing things.
Yeah.
But it can also be misused. That's why it's so important to have these like open and honest conversations about AI safety and ethics and to develop like guidelines and safeguards to promote, responsible use.
It's not enough to just like build cool tech.
It's not.
They have to think about like the implications and actually use it wisely.
100%. It's a shared responsibility. It involves developers, policymakers, researchers, and, everyday users like us.
Yeah, we all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI and making sure it benefits, humanity as a whole.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's like the key takeaway for our listeners? What should they be thinking about as they like explore this world of AI that's changing so fast?
I think we're at this like really pivotal moment. The advancements we've talked about today are just the tip of the iceberg. As AI becomes more powerful and more accessible, it's so important to approach it with like a sense of curiosity, responsibility, and a willingness to, engage in thoughtful conversations about its impact on our world.
I couldn't agree more. This deep dive has given us so much to think about, from the like technical innovations to the ethical considerations. But I think most importantly, it's highlighted the incredible potential of AI to transform, how we live, how we work, and how we interact with the world around us. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going. That's how we'll shape a future where AI empowers us all.